Hello everyone, welcome to YK Reviews. We're going to be talking about Ghostbusters, doing retrospective reviews in the build up to Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So let's get started. So yes, we're back doing retrospective reviews. I've done a whole bunch of them. You can go on the channel, check those ones out. So we're going to be doing retrospective reviews in the build up to the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire movie. And after that's going to be done, we're going to be doing a tier ranking for all the movies. Plus, straight after that, we're going to be doing retrospective reviews in the build up to Godzilla x Kong with retrospective reviews for all the MonsterVerse movies. So tons of videos coming your way. So if you like that kind of stuff, do consider hitting that subscribe button, smash that like button, hit that notification bell, all that YouTube stuff here, as I do appreciate all the support. But just a quick couple of shout outs in terms of like videos that I've done. I just posted my review for the chicken nugget series when a woman turns into a chicken nugget. You can check that out on the channel. And I've just done another binge watching series where we binge watched the X-Men animated series in time for X-Men 97. So that's also on the channel. You can check that out. Would appreciate all the support for those videos. But let's get started with Ghostbusters, an iconic franchise. One that I'll be completely honest with you, it's been such a long time since I've seen the OG movies, and rewatching them once again just brings so much joy here. So we're kicking things off with the opening sequence because you've got the New York Public Library as the first opening shot. You see this librarian inside the library. She's taking these books, and then all of a sudden these books start flying out. She's confronted by something which we don't see on screen, and she starts screaming, which we then lead into the most iconic song that you'll get in the Ghostbusters franchise, which is the Ghostbusters song, and I'll play a small clip. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for this one because there's something strange in your neighborhood. So iconic for me. We're then introduced to Bill Murray's character, who is called Peter. For me, he's so iconic in terms of the character. He honestly reminds me of me in terms of his sarcasm, in terms of his just nonchalant attitude. And I feel like that's how I am, especially growing up, living in the UK, growing up in the UK where sarcasm is just like a thing that you're born with, apparently. It's just so great to see his sarcasm throughout the whole movie and just his comments and one-liners. Love his character because he's literally doing an experiment, an unethical experiment nonetheless, in which he's got a male and a female. They're having to guess what's behind the card in terms of like shapes and designs and that kind of stuff. Whenever you get it wrong, you get like an electric shock. And so obviously the guy, no matter whether he says it's right or wrong, Bill Murray is going to be shocking him, and the girl, similar situation, if whether she's right or wrong, she's not going to get shocked. And so it leads to such a great opening sequence in terms of like you're viewing this character, and straight away you see this kind of person, his attitude, his personality, and his moral ethics. So right off the bat you get that sequence. Eventually the guy gets pissed off about this whole situation and storms off, and that's where we get introduced to the next Ghostbusters, Ray, who's being played by Dan Aykroyd, a really serious professor who believes everything and everyone, who's trying to catch the ghosts. So he's basically blocking Peter in terms of trying to get this girl, meeting her back, and obviously being unethical about it. So he's telling Peter that they need to go to the library because of the opening sequence. They've seen a ghost, so they have to gear up, get all their stuff to go catch this ghost. So when they're in the library, of course, you've got Peter with his sarcasm, with his just nonchalant attitude, with the questions that he's asking the librarian, whether she's got like family history in terms of like schizophrenia, whether it's like her time of the month, just like random questions. But eventually they do go to like I think it was like the back room, not the basement or the attic or anything, just like where they're storing books, to eventually see the ghost. And when they go try to talk to him and the ghost is getting ignored, they eventually go to try and capture the ghost, only for the ghost to turn into a complete zombie and just freak them out, eventually leading them to run away. That then leads them to go back into the university, where they come to find out that because studies and because of like what they're trying to do, and especially because of Peter's unethical moral experiments that he's running, they lose the grant, and so that means that they're getting kicked out of the university, all their equipment's being taken away. So that leads them to go on to bigger and better things. They eventually take out a third mortgage, which I didn't even know that was a thing, to be completely honest with you, on one of the characters' parents' house, and that leads them to find this really run-down, rusty, old place which they take to build their home base for the Ghostbusters HQ. And that's where we get introduced to the female lead of the movie, played by Sigourney Weaver. So her character's called Dana. She's going into her apartment. There's this TV commercial of them promoting their Ghostbusters phone number and what they're doing. She goes into the kitchen, the eggs start just like cracking and boiling. She opens up the fridge to basically see some demon dog and closes the fridge. But that's our introduction to the main lead, or the main female lead of the movie. So she goes to see the Ghostbusters, and of course Peter, as Peter is, Bill Murray, goes and offers his services to Dana so that he can go back to her apartment and smooth talk her, say how much he's in love with her, that kind of stuff. As he's investigating it, obviously when he opens up the fridge this time, it looks like a normal fridge. And that's when we get our first official call for the characters, for the Ghostbusters, as they go to this hotel where the iconic ghost that you see throughout the franchise, where there's a popcorn bucket. Obviously Canada doesn't have the bloody popcorn bucket, but it's the popcorn bucket that you get in the US. I'll post a picture of it here as well, actually. But they go into the hotel to try and capture it. Obviously, they have this, like, those laser gun thingy that they use. It turns into a shit show as they go to, like, the ballroom. Chandeliers dropping, tables crashing. It turns into a complete shit show. But they do eventually catch this ghost who's just munching on everything. But because of this success, you get this nice little montage with the great song in the background of all of their Ghostbusting, capturing the public loving them, the newspaper praising them. So you get, like, them getting more notoriety in terms of how big they're getting with them being known as the Ghostbusters in the city. And because of this, they need more help. So that's when you get introduced to Winston as part of the Ghostbusters crew, who's played by Ernie Hudson. And honestly, I wish we got to see more scenes of him, because I felt like we didn't get to see enough of him. But obviously he is one of the iconic Ghostbusters now, so he's now part of the crew. So in terms of Dana, you also got Louis, who is a really weird character who's always getting locked out of his own house. He's throwing this party going on here. We see Dana, who goes back into her apartment, only to be taken over, captured by this demon dog that she saw in the fridge. We also get another sequence with Louis, who's having his party in his apartment, where another demon dog is. He starts chasing after Louis, and I'll be honest, the visual effects and the CGI don't really hold up today. It really does look outdated, but it's still a funny scene nonetheless, because you've got this dog chasing after Louis. He actually runs across the street, runs around the city, ends up in this restaurant, and inside you see Louis looking like a madman because nobody else can see this demon dog. But on the outside, Louis is taken over by this demon dog, and so he's running around calling himself the gatekeeper, while Dana is actually possessed with this dog. When Peter shows up to her apartment, you get this weird sequence. He figures out she's been taken over. You get this weird little sequence of this exorcism scene of her floating in this bed, which just looks absolutely hilarious, especially because of, like, Peter's reaction to all of this. But with Louis running around calling himself the gatekeeper, he gets picked up by the police. He goes to the Ghostbusters, which they come to figure out he's also being possessed, so they take him with him. And that's when you get the guy, the reporter from Die Hard, showing up in this movie, being part of the Environmental Control Agency, basically forcing them to shut down this power grid where they've stored all of the ghosts. He is forcing these people, like the city council or whoever they are, I'm guessing, he forces them to shut this power grid down. So this protection grid gets shut down. As soon as that does, the building is basically exploded. All the ghosts get released. So every ghost that they've captured has now been released to the public. You see ghost taxi drivers, you see ghosts running around eating food, that same one. So it's just a shit show going on now. All because this character just wouldn't mind his own business, just like similar in Die Hard, the same character traits, which is absolutely hilarious if you really think about it. But because of all of this eventually leads to the Ghostbusters getting arrested. While they're in prison, they discover, like with the blueprints and everything like that, that the center of all of this is actually in Dana's building. So they're getting called from the mayors because of the ghosts running around. They manage to convince the mayor how they need to stop the ghost. So they end up going to Dana's building, where you've got Dana and Louis, who've turned into like these gargoyle dogs now, and this huge character named Gozer is appearing. Of course, the floors from the bottom, like in the street, start breaking apart, and with that looks pretty good. Like, I'm pretty sure that looked like practical effects, so that the floor like breaking apart, them actually falling inside this floor when it opens up, looks pretty great. So once they do confront Gozer, they try to blast her, but no matter what they've done so far, nothing's working. She ends up avoiding them, she ends up vanishing. She tells them that she's going to get inside their head, so they all try to like empty out their thoughts, except for Ray, who for some reason dreams up the iconic Marshmallow Man that is so iconic with this franchise. So this Marshmallow Man is just walking around the city, and honestly at times the visual effects look great, but I'm not going to be crapping on it because it was like done back in the 80s. It still kind of holds up in certain sequences, but you've just got this Marshmallow Man running around the city with people freaking out over a giant marshmallow. It sounds so ridiculous when you say it out loud. So they try to roast the marshmallow because why not? Why wouldn't you? But that doesn't work. So what they actually do, they decide to actually cross the streams this time around. So actually when they're going to confront the Marshmallow Man, you get them using their blasters or whatever you're calling it. They eventually all cross the stream, and that actually causes the marshmallow to explode. So just picture the whole city just all covered in marshmallow, and it's like a dream for a fat kid at a candy store. I'll be completely honest with you, speaking for myself. And so everybody manages to survive. Louis and Dana go back into their normal selves, where you've got the guy, Peter, gets the girl, all the crowd cheering. So just a great ending to the movie, and honestly an iconic movie. Like I said, it's been such a long time since I watched this movie. I remember as a kid growing up, you've got Casper the Friendly Ghost, you had Ghostbusters. So growing up, ghost movies, ghost shows were just such a iconic thing. It really, if you think about it nowadays, you don't really get that much, other than the recent Ghostbusters movies. You don't really get a lot of ghost movies, which honestly I feel like is a shame. I feel like it could work a lot now, but I'm digressing. When it comes to this movie, iconic movie, great cast in there, and one that you could honestly enjoy over and over again. I had such a fun time revisiting this movie, and I had such a fun time even just talking about it here. But I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you've seen the movie, what are your thoughts are about it? Did you enjoy it? Do you remember as a kid growing up wanting to be a Ghostbusters? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And once again, if you are new to the channel, do consider hitting that subscribe button, because we are going to be doing Ghostbusters 2 along with Afterlife and Frozen Empire with the tier ranking. So if you are going to be looking forward to that, do consider hitting that subscribe button. But I thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This is YK Reviews. Peace.